At first glance, Silent Hill F might just look like another horror game, the usual continuation of the Silent Hill legacy. But its story, it's unlike anything I've ever come across in a video game. This time, Silent Hill dives into something deeply rooted in Japanese culture, and honestly, in many other parts of the world too, something that probably still lingers even today. I'll first walk you through the story from the perspective of the character you play as. Along the way, you'll probably end up with a ton of questions, but don't worry. By the end, I'll explain what's really going on and why this game's story is one of a kind. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the story of Silent Hill F. The game is set in Japan, in the town of Ebisagawaka, back in 1960. At the very beginning, we meet our main character, Hinako. She's reflecting on her childhood, a time when none of the kids her age wanted to play with her. The only companion she had was her doll. Then her sister shows up and says, "Well, if they won't play with you, I will." Hinako is sitting outside the front door of her house, lost in thought, when Junko, her older sister, comes home.
Did something happen?
Just reminiscing a little. About, when we were kids, you always looked out for me.
Inside, her parents are arguing. Her dad is yelling at Hinako, while her mom desperately tries to calm him down. Then her father shouts, "Why can't you be more like your sister, Junko?" And the sound of something breaking echoes through the house. Frustrated, Hinako storms out. Her mom begs her not to leave, but Hinako ignores her and heads off to meet her friends.
Don't go. Your father's just worried.
I'm gonna go see my friends.
Come on soon!
But before we go any further, let's take a look at Hinako's diary, her own words about her family. This will give you a much clearer picture of who she is and what kind of people her family really are. Hinako describes herself as nothing really special, other than being a little taller than most girls her age. She used to be part of the track and field club, which explains why she's more athletic than the others. Ever since she was a kid, she loved running around and preferred hanging out with the boys instead of the girls. She admits she can be stubborn sometimes, hating it when people tell her what to do, even if they're right. More than once, she's made bad decisions just out of defiance, only to regret them later. When it comes to her mom, Hinako says the one word that defines her is pathetic. Her mother puts up with every bit of abuse from her father. Back when Hinako was younger, her mom used to protect her from him, so she didn't hate her then. But now, even though her dad screams in her face, throws bottles at her, and forces her to buy alcohol for him in the middle of the night, she still stays loyal to him, a life Hinako just can't accept. Her dad, on the other hand, is the very definition of a chauvinistic husband. He hardly speaks, and when he does, it's either to ignore Hinako's greetings or to get mad at her for saying nothing at all. He yells at her mom, throws things at her, and sometimes even lashes out physically at the whole family. The only bright spot in her life is Junko, her older sister. To Hinako, Junko is one of the kindest and most beautiful people she's ever known, someone she can rely on for absolutely anything. Junko is, in her words, the best sister anyone could ever ask for. Hinako heads toward her friend's place to talk to them. On the way, she finds a torn-up letter from a doctor mentioning how foxes have been showing up more and more around town. The letter says foxes aren't exactly wild or aggressive, but they can carry diseases. The first friend she comes across is Shu. It looks like he wants to tell her something important, but he hesitates and swallows his words. You can feel there's definitely something between them, but neither of them is willing to say it out loud.
What about you? Nothing you want to say?
Well, if you don't have anything, neither do I.
Oh, that's my Hinako.
Instead, Shu hands Hinako a small box and tells her, "Whatever you decide to do, I'll always be here to help you." Then Rinko shows up. Hinako immediately straightens up, trying to play it cool. Rinko suspiciously asks, "What are you two talking about?" Hinako quickly brushes it off. "Nothing really, we weren't saying anything." Finally, Sakuko arrives. The four teens start chatting and joking around, but Hinako suddenly senses something lurking in the fog.
You can't prove I did.
Okay, that does Listen, if I lend you something, you're signing a contract to give it back.
Don't be such a meanie.
Did you listen to the show last night? Yeah, but I fell asleep. Sakura, when will you grow up?
Hinako?
Sorry.
She feels it creeping closer, wrapping around them, though the others don't seem to notice. Out of nowhere, red blotches spread across Sakuko's body, and he collapses to the ground. Something is moving toward them from within the mist, and the group panics and runs. All around them, the ground is covered with red spider lilies, flowers that symbolize death. Hinako runs desperately. She opens the box Shu gave her and finds a handful of red and white pills. She swallows a couple to recover her strength. By the way, these pills are the game's healing system. Taking them restores your health, and later we'll learn there's something very important about them. Hinako keeps running trying to find the others. On her way, she encounters a grotesque creature, human in form, but twisted into something monstrous. She escapes, only to stumble upon Sakuko's lifeless body, completely covered in spider lilies. Heartbroken over losing her friend, Hinako lashes out violently and kills one of the monsters, but the effort overwhelms her. She feels dizzy and collapses. When she comes to, she finds herself inside a dark shrine. A voice tells her, "Don't push yourself, you need to rest." Disoriented, she stumbles forward until she reaches a door. Forcing it open, she falls right into the arms of a mysterious man wearing a fox mask. The masked man seems to know Hinako, and strangely, it feels like Hinako knows him too, though she says nothing about it. Together, they fight off a few monsters and solve some puzzles until Hinako discovers a key. The fox masked man reveals that he crafted the jade key specifically for her. Hinako places it into the statue, and the man reappears, telling her not just anyone can enter this sacred place, but you, Hinako, you can. Hinako steps inside. She hears the distant roar of a monster and rushes to shut the door, but the thing charges at her. She falls to the ground, and everything goes black. When she wakes up again, Shu is by her side, somehow alive, and it seems she's back in the real world. Hinako is relieved to see him, but the sight of Sakuko's corpse still haunts her. Shu explains that the whole town is empty, like some kind of nightmare. He clearly has feelings for Hinako, and it seems the feeling is mutual. He tells her, "Even if nobody else exists in the world, just having you would be enough for me." Hinako asks about Rinko, but Shu admits, "We got separated. I haven't seen her since." So the two of them decide to head toward Rinko's house. Along the way, Shu confesses that he promised Junko, Hinako's older sister, that he'd always protect her. Shu and Hinako had been playmates since they were kids. We already saw in Hinako's diary that she tended to play more with boys than girls, which is why she and Shu had been close friends from childhood. The two of them arrive at Rinko's house, they call her name, and Rinko comes outside. She says she's okay, but her entire family, even her grandmother who can't walk, has disappeared. The three of them go inside, and Hinako explains what happened with Sakuko. Shu warns that staying in the town is dangerous, and that they need to leave to get help. But Rinko says, "We're trapped here, there's no way out of this city." Looking out the window, they see the bridge leading out of town is broken. Shu says, "I know a route through the mountains that connects to the highway, we can escape that way." Rinko and Hinako go off to grab some bandages and supplies for the journey, but suddenly, Hinako is pulled back into that mysterious realm. She discovers a strange library filled with old documents about her family's medical history. One entry, dated February 1st. The symptoms are headache, fever, dizziness, chills, vomiting, and diarrhea. At first, I thought it was just a simple cold, but after prescribing medication, the symptoms didn't improve, they actually got worse. Another note, written by a servant. doesn't clearly say if it's about her family or not. The family is cursed, and I'm the only one who knows why and how this happened. Suddenly, Hinako hears her friend Sakuko calling, "This way, Hinako." She follows the voice, but a monstrous creature made of doll heads and limbs attacks her. Hinako flees and eventually finds Sakuko, though his appearance has changed. She attacks her, but the fox mask man appears, shielding her and using a strange chant to drive the monster away. He tells Hinako, before you can enter the sacred shrine, you must pray and cleanse yourself of sin. The masked man pours what looks like holy water into his mouth and over his hands, and asks Hinako to do the same to purify herself. But as Hinako approaches, the water turns into molten lava. The masked man reassures her, it's just water. Hinako hesitantly pours some into her hands and into her mouth, only for it to burn like molten fire. As she writhes in pain, she sees the cursed doll again with the words, "Don't trust the fox mask." Then she wakes up under the stairs of Rinko's house. Rinko tells her she fell down the stairs. Hinako notices her sleeve is torn and assumes it got caught on something, causing her fall. From Rinko's behavior, it's clear that even though they're friends, she doesn't really like Hinako. The reason is obvious. Rinko has a crush on Shu, and Hinako is extremely close to him. Having grown up with Shu since childhood, Hinako unintentionally makes Rinko jealous. Hinako remembers the moment right before she fell. About Rinko, in her diary, Hinako wrote that they had fought several times before, but each time they reconciled. She notes that it wouldn't be surprising if they fought again in the future. This shows that even though they're close friends, their relationship is a bit tense. About Shu, she writes that back when her family pressured her to behave like other girls, Shu was the only one who understood her and stayed by her side. When they were kids, they had a game called Space War, where they imagined aliens had invaded Earth, and Hinako and Shu were the only ones left to stop them and save everyone else. Shu always calls Hinako partner, and the reason is clear. They were partners in their childhood games, defeating the alien monsters together. The three of them decide to first go to Shu's house, then head toward the mountains and the highway. On the way, Rinko teases Shu, "Why do you always call Hinako partner? You're not kids anymore, you've grown up." Shu replies, "I call her partner because we've always been partners." "I don't see Hinako as a girl," Rinko sarcastically says. "Yeah, right, you never see her as a girl." Hinako feels upset but stays silent. Beyond the teasing, Hinako also hears voices in her head, seemingly a conversation between Shu and Rinko. Rinko says, "Just forget about Hinako, there's no hope." Shu responds, "She's suffering, and I can't just leave her." It's unclear whether these conversations are real or hallucinations. On their path, they encounter a massive monster. Unable to handle it, they decide to take a longer route that passes by their school. While heading toward the school, something strange happens. Rinko and Shu are walking ahead, and when Hinako approaches, she overhears them. Shu says, "Enough, stop it already." Rinko responds, "I won't stop until you face reality. I want to be honest with you, Hinako is dead, and she'll probably have a good life in that world." The three head toward the school, only to find the entrance locked. Shu says the key must be inside. He tells the girls, "You rest here while I go find a key." Rinko suddenly stands up, pleading not to be left alone. Hinako says, "You guys stay here, I'll go get the key." While searching, Hinako finds a locked chest containing several letters. One letter mentions that Hinako is dead, and someone tells another, "I'm here for you. You don't have to carry this grief alone, and we're all saddened by Hinako's death." Another letter reads, "Dear Shu, I love you. I always have and I always will. I'm waiting to see what you feel about me." In another classroom, Hinako hears the voice of her sister Junko saying,
Stay with your friends forever.
Junko, where?
Friends don't last forever. They will betray you eventually. Just as they say you betrayed them. Whether their worth is justified. That is for you to decide.
Hinako finds the key and returns to where Shu and Rinko were. At the back of the classroom, she overhears Rinko telling Shu, "Now that it's just the two of us, let's recreate our own version of Space War. I'll be your partner if you want." They tell Hinako, "Take a little rest, we'll keep watch." Hinako falls asleep and is pulled back into the imaginary world of the temple. The fox mask man tells her, "You've done really well so far, you need to keep going." They pass through another door, and in this part of the temple, Hinako constantly hears Rinko's voice in her head. She finds several letters from Rinko. One reads, "After taking these, you'll feel better." Another says, "Just be yourself and don't care about being called abnormal. I'm always watching out for you." There are also other writings from Rinko's diary, revealing her feelings for Shu. In the temple, Hinako finds Rinko trapped in a cage, accusing her, "You're a traitor. You played with Shu's feelings." At that moment, Rinko falls into molten lava. Elsewhere in the temple, Hinako sees Sakuko begging her not to leave her alone. She's terrified of the darkness. Hinako had promised they'd always stick together. Like Rinko, Sakuko also calls her a traitor, and the cage sinks underground into the darkness, accompanied by Sakuko's screams. In another part of the temple, she hears Shu saying, "It seems this is the last time I can call you partner." He sounds deeply upset and asks Hinako, "I need to know your final answer." Next, she found Shu chained up. He tells her, "Whatever happens, I'll respect your choice." Hinako pulls a lever, and Shu is struck by the chains. The fox-masked man appears again and tells Hinako, "It must have been really hard to say goodbye to your childhood friends." Hinako wakes up again from the dream, alone in the classroom, and goes outside to find Shu and Rinko. She finds that they've left her behind, but she reminds herself, "We were supposed to visit Shu's house," so she sets off in that direction. Hinako reaches Shu's house. It's empty, except for a framed photo of him. A voice comes from outside. Hinako assumes it's Shu, and as she opens the door, she's pulled back into the mysterious temple again, holding the hands of the fox-masked man. He says, "The path ahead will bring a lot of pain and suffering." Hinako responds, "I know I'm not afraid." Hinako sees one of those dolls again, with a warning next to it. "Run now, there's no way back," but Hinako ignores it and keeps moving forward. They sit next to a shrine. A masked woman brings them a fox hand, signaling the start of a ritual. The woman takes Hinako's hand, pours a liquid on it, and cleans it. They place a stick in her mouth and give her a saw, instructing her to cut off her own hand. Hinako does as told, severing her hand and connecting it to the fox hand. Hinako wakes up in the temple again, saying, "Let's continue." They enter another area again. They try to put a stick in her mouth to force her to bite down from the pain, but this time Hinako refuses. One of the women brands a hot metal mark on her lower back. Hinako faints again, and when she wakes, the fox-masked man tells her, "The next ceremony is the last one." They arrive at the final location. Hinako has no energy left, and the masked man guides her. In this last ritual, Hinako loses her face, and a fox mask is placed over it.
You have endured incredible agony. That was brave of you, Hinako.
Oh, I can't. It hurts. It hurts.
Look into my eyes.
It hurts.
Hinako, look at me. Look into my eyes. There. No more pain or suffering to be had.
For the first time, we see the masked man yelling at Hinako. She, seemingly indoctrinated, responds, "Yes, I feel no more pain. I'll calm myself." The masked man says, "Good now, you're my Hinako." Despite all the pain she has endured, Hinako thanks the masked man, showing a behavior reminiscent of her mother. She sees the doll again, but this time there's no warning. It's as if there's truly no way back. The masked man takes Hinako's hand, leading her through a hall that seems to be a wedding ceremony. They approach the person they're supposed to marry. Hinako sees the doll again with the words, "Your name is Hinako Shimizu, don't forget it." She lifts her chains, but Hinako steps back, refusing to allow it. The person turns out to be her friend Rinko, who says, "Today is the day Hinako dies forever." Hinako yells her own name and attacks. She experiences another headache and shouts, "I am Hinako Shimizu." The masked man approaches, saying, "Yes, you are Hinako." Hinako repeats, "I am Hinako Shimizu." But the masked man only calls her name again. "Yes, you are Hinako." In the end, he says, "You are my Hinako." Hinako wakes up again in Shu's house. Someone approaches her and asks, "Time is running out. How long are you going to stay here?" The woman is Junko, her sister, her face hidden behind a mask. For the first time, we can see her face. It appears she has also undergone the same rituals Hinako experienced and has lost her own face. Junko says, "I've told you 1,000 times, you have to go. Decide for your future. It doesn't matter what anyone else says. The decision is yours alone. But don't think about it forever. Your time is running out." Hinako returns to her family home. Everything's changed. In the living room, her mother, father, and she are sitting together. Her father is berating her mother for how the food tastes, humiliating her, and her mother just keeps apologizing. Hinako steps in. "You don't have the right to talk to her like that." Her father snaps back, "Shut up. How dare you speak to your father that way?" We find one of Hinako's diary pages lying around the house. "I hate my father, and I hate my mother too. If I could turn into a monster, I'd kill them with my own hands. I hate everything about this house." Hinako flashes to another memory of her family. She yells at her father, "It's because of your debts that you act like this. You wasted all our money and ruined us. Now we're the ones who have to pay for it." Her mother intervenes again, and Hinako storms out of the house. In another room, Hinako sees a person who looks just like her. The figure says, "You are me, but I am not you." This version of Hinako is her rebellious self, saying, "I could have killed you any time, but I didn't, because we have to fight. We can't run." The mirror Hinako continues, "If you keep running, fine. I'll kill them once and for all, mom and dad, then Rinko and Sakuko, and then your dear partner Shu, the one you think is your best friend but never once looked at you like a girl." Hinako replies, "I won't let you kill them," and the figure vanishes. Hinako enters another room and finds her 3 friends hanging, executed. A back door opens and laughter echoes. "At last you've come, Hinako." Her parents are sitting at a grotesque feast. Her drunken father says, "You're late, but at least now we can start the ceremony." At the same time, Hinako remembers a real incident where her father punished her for not obeying him. Suddenly, her parents begin to morph into monsters. During this boss fight, her father snarls, "You must act like a woman and fulfill your role in society." They say, "This is for your own good. You must listen to us. We raised you." After defeating those 2 monsters, they leave the house. Hinako follows, and outside they face a giant monster that looks like a bride. Hinako returns to the temple to see the fox masked man. He marks her clothing and says, "This will show everyone you belong to me. Now come, I'll show you something else." Hinako and the masked man enter a room. Junko comes in and apologizes for interrupting. She asks to speak to Hinako alone and asks, "Is it gone?" Hinako doesn't answer. Junko says, "I'll keep this as a secret and tell no one, but if you're still alive tomorrow, as her sister, I'll kill you myself." The fox masked man takes Hinako's hand and gives her a box. He's holding another box himself. They go to a fox statue and open the boxes. Inside are rings. They swap them and place them into the statue. The door behind the statue opens. The masked man says, "Our work will be complete soon." Hinako comes to her senses in front of her house. A voice screams in her mind, "You took everything from me. This is all your fault. Everything that mattered to me, you took it, and now you want to destroy me too." Hinako reaches the bride-shaped monster in the forest.
suspected this would happen. What you are doing is incredibly rude. But then, you should already know that by now. Kill her! Kill her! Do it!
Come on.
This is for your own good. Now die.
Hinako and the fox-masked man complete their ceremony. As the ritual ends, the red spider lilies start growing over Hinako, covering her entire body. Yes, that bride-shaped monster we saw earlier was Hinako herself. Junko wishes the bride happiness, and the bride leaves. From here, when Hinako walks through the town, she thinks to herself how beautiful the town has become, seeing it as beautiful instead of ugly. Hinako returns home, confronting her parents. She kills them, and suddenly she awakens in a temple, the same place she first woke up. She retraces the entire path she had painfully gone through before, and at the final door, she sees her sister. Before continuing the story, I should mention the game has 5 endings. I'm describing the bride ending, which is the most common one players see. That's if you mostly follow the main story and don't solve many side puzzles. Hinako says to her sister, "How can you side with them?" Junko responds, "Do you even know why you're here?" Hinako replies, "I don't know where I am. I don't feel right. I just want to go home." She takes several pills at once. Junko asks, "How long have you been taking these pills? Is it really okay to take so many at once?" Hinako answers, "They help me stay calm." Hinako shoves her sister and moves on. She smashes things in the temple, drinks from a pipe, and causes destruction. She sees the bride again and yells, "You took everything from me." Hinako defeats the monster and starts frantically swinging the rod in her hand.
I'm done with this place. I can't stay here.
After the credits in this ending, there's an important scene that basically explains the whole story of the game. But before we get to it, let me explain the main story so you can understand the ending clearly. Hinako was a schoolgirl whose father had gambled away all their money. He wanted to force his daughters into marriage with whoever paid the most. At that time in Japanese culture, it wasn't unusual for young girls to be married off by their fathers, but Hinako didn't want that fate. She didn't want to be like her mother, obedient and submissive. She didn't want to end up like her sister Junko, who was also forced into marriage. Hinako didn't want to be just a girl for marrying and having kids. She wanted to exist beyond being a faceless woman. That's why she constantly argued with her father. She hated her mother because she always sided with her father and treated her like property. The red spider lilies symbolized the death of Hinako's mind and spirit. The whole game actually takes place in Hinako's mind. None of it is real. We were experiencing her mental struggle on her wedding day. The monsters in the game are often symbolic of marriage, womanhood, and childhood dolls. Hinako was someone who refused to accept traditional female roles and didn't want to just do what other girls were supposed to do. The only person who truly understood her and let her be herself was Shu. They didn't see each other as male or female. It didn't matter to them. They enjoyed being together. Remember their childhood game, Space Wars. The mental hallucinations and the battles with monsters in the game are based on that childhood game. Gradually, Hinako and Shu develop feelings for each other, but they never confess and keep their love hidden. The events in the temple with a masked man are actually part of her wedding day. In reality, it's the wedding, but Hinako perceives it differently. The masked man is someone who had a crush on Hinako since childhood, but she always ignored him and stuck with Shu. Now he's a wealthy man, taking advantage of the situation to control her in exchange for money. During the 3 ceremonies in the game, Hinako's hand was altered, symbolic of her will being taken. Then a mark of slavery was placed on her back, and finally, her face, a symbol of her identity, was taken. Her will, freedom, and identity were stripped away, and finally, The red spider lilies overtook her entire body, claiming her soul. The scene where Junko asks permission from the masked man to talk to Hinako highlights that, in this world, she needs her husband's permission to communicate. At the start of the game, the pills Shu gives Hinako are actually sedatives in real life, meant to help her endure her wedding day. But consuming them causes hallucinations, and Hinako perceives events differently. The conversation she had with Shu at the beginning reflects a real conversation, just seen through Hinako's distorted mind. Shu is upset about Hinako's wedding, and Hinako's close friend Junko, who has a crush on Shu, uses the opportunity to try to take him for herself. When Junko says, "Hinako is already dead, let her go," it symbolizes Hinako entering marriage and the end of her childhood friend's role in her life. You might be wondering about the parts where Hinako, Shu, and Junko were running through the town looking for an escape. Those sequences represent Hinako's internal struggle to resist her fate, her final mental battle. The bride at the end of the game is the monster form representing what society and the wrong traditions wanted Hinako to become. In the end, they succeed, and Hinako becomes the bride. At the very end, we hear the police, revealing the only scene that happens in the real world. The police say over the radio, 2 victims dead. Suspect is a woman wedding massacre. They find the murder weapon at the scene and report it's the same one used at the wedding. Then the radio continues. Suspect is a 20-year-old woman wearing a wedding dress, over 160 centimeters tall, armed, and extremely dangerous. It seems she had been taking white and red pills at the scene. Yes, that's right. On her wedding day, due to the pills Shu gave her, Hinako goes on a killing spree in her wedding dress and flees. When she says, "I don't feel well, I want to go home," and starts swinging the rod, she's actually attacking real people, but she's hallucinating and doesn't realize what she's doing. So that's the story of SilentHillF. I don't know about you, but I really enjoyed this game. Thanks for watching the video all the way to the end.
Crime.
Kaguracho 1, this is HQ. Did the capsules match the ones discovered at the wedding venue? Over.
HQ, this is Kaguracho 1. Affirmative.